Stephen A. Smith has been all over social media in the last couple of days because he made one fatal mistake. He criticized someone on the left, and you cannot do that. The left will never receive any criticism whatsoever, no matter what their position is. The left has completely lost it. He came on to his podcast in the last 24 hours, and he said this.
And all the verbiage and all the nonsense that I've heard over the last few days is why it can get exhausting. Because nothing frustrates me more than when people have the truth at their disposal and they choose, maybe not lie, maybe not even embellish, but allow their emotions to usurp facts, and all of a sudden want to use that as an excuse to label me as being something and doing something I'm neither not nor have I done, which in this case is disrespecting Representative Crockett out of Texas, who, by the way, has had an invite to this show for weeks, by the way.
And that's the accusation. He had a critique of her style, and everyone on the left is saying that he's being disrespectful to a black woman. Again, playing the race card. You hear a couple of people on the Native Land podcast where you've got Angela Rye, Tiffany Cross, Bekari Sellers, and you've got Andrew Gillum. And Tiffany Cross really went there. Listen to this.
And so it's a small sect of men that are so angry and hurt that they're willing to align with the people who oppress us. What am I getting wrong? Because if you listen to Stephen A. Smith and you find anything other than some absolute, pure, self-hating, little dick energy nonsense from that half-witted idiot basking in the non-existent rays of his own ignorance, it is sad to me that he even gets an audience of black men. Why aren't black men right now saying, Stephen A. Smith, we banning him, we not listening to his podcast, we're not watching his show anymore? That's what black women do. We organize.
Yeah, but just irrational. Tiffany Cross is saying that black men should be canceling Stephen A. Smith because he dared to have a criticism of a black elected representative. Then following it up with he's got little d energy. Again, Tiffany Cross, who, regardless to what you think of her, men and women think differently. Why is this a groundbreaking idea that men and women might think differently, that men might decide that they want to support a candidate whom the majority of black women might reject? But again, no dissension is allowed on the left. You must walk in lockstep. You must share the same worldview. And if you don't, you are going to be castigated, you are going to be lambasted, you are going to be attacked. And what were the actual criticisms that Stephen A. Smith had of Jasmine Crockett?
She's active, ambitious, and visible, exceptional when it comes to fundraising. But many of her major efforts are still works in progress, bills stuck in committees, introduced but have stalled, etc., according to Congress.gov. I'm just reading. She faced similar difficulties as a state rep. The Texas legislature's sole black freshman had big plans for her first session. She ended up mostly playing defense, according to them. And what the implication was is that while she's great at fundraising, the challenge for her was cultivating relationships in Congress. And what does that mean? Potentially going across the aisle when you don't want to. Potentially going across the aisle, okay, when it might be in the best interest of the 750,000 constituents you represent.
I had to jump in right there because I know a lot of people, a lot of black people especially, who just love Jasmine Crockett. They love the fact that she calls Donald Trump names and that she gets into it with Marjorie Taylor Greene and that she gets into it with other members of Congress on the floor, and how she has these one-liners and these zingers and, and all, and you just hear people, oh, you go girl. That's not, I repeat, that's not why people elect individuals and send them to Congress, so they can live vicariously through the one-liners that you offer. You know why people elect someone and send them to Congress? So that they can get money to come back to where they live, so they can get a new park, so they can get more money for their police department, so they can get a bridge repaired. Those are the things that people care about. But unfortunately, a lot of Jasmine Crockett's followers are just emotionally driven so they can live vicariously through things and through statements that she makes like this.
He needs to go. I mean, this is very simple. We right now have a white supremacist that is sitting in the White House. He is backed up by other white supremacists. And if you really want to know who the criminals are in this country, you can Google it. You don't have to trust me. But the people that commit 80% of the most violent crimes in this country are white supremacists. Yet for whatever reason, they sit and they serve at the pleasure of the president. They are the ones that were there on January 6th, tearing our democracy down physically. And now we have them tearing us down right here from within.
Because the Supreme Court has paved the way for half the stuff that we see that's going on. Listen, Donald Trump is a piece of shit. Okay, we know that. Yes, yes. He is.
In these hot ass Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot ass mess, honey. So,
It doesn't excite me when I hear elected officials cursing and making these kind of offhand, off-color remarks, you know, calling the governor of Texas, Governor Abbott, you know, Governor Hot Wheels. Now just stop for a second. I want you to be honest with yourself. When Donald Trump makes an attack and he calls someone low IQ or he does something like that and he makes a reference and it happens to be someone who's African American, it happens to be a black person, happens to be a black woman, he called Jasmine Crockett low IQ. The first response you get from the left is, oh, this is proof that Donald Trump is racist because he's calling a person of color a name. Why not? That's inappropriate. He shouldn't be doing that. That's beneath the dignity of the presidency. So if that's the standard that we're going to hold Donald Trump to, why not adhere to the same standard? And you're going to hear Stephen A. Smith, he's going to say something very similar.
When you're in her position, that's not going to get you anywhere. That's what I was saying. What I was saying was, this educated, brilliant black woman representing over 750,000 people is engaging in verbiage and rhetoric for the streets. And that's fine when you're in the streets. How many of y'all bring the streets to the table when you're at the negotiating table trying to get a deal done? How many of you are able to think that for a second that you're able to bring street verbiage to Capitol Hill, and that's going to work for you?
And that's ultimately the point, everybody. The way that you talk when you're talking to your friends is not the way that you talk in a boardroom. The way that you talk perhaps when you're out playing a game, you're out playing baseball or basketball, or you're out hanging out on the weekend, it's not the way that you talk, in a professional setting. The way that you would hang out and talk at a bar, that's not how you speak in an interview. And again, it's just unfortunate because ultimately Donald Trump and Jasmine Crockett there's some intersectionality there. They are both speaking in a way that is resonating with the people who are supporting them, but the people who are supporting them are the people who tend to be the lower information voters. We've heard people accuse Donald Trump of speaking to the people when he says, oh, I love the uneducated, I love the low information voter. And then we critique him and say, well, he's purposely speaking in this way so that he can get those people riled up and get them energized. Jasmine Crockett is doing the same thing. It's the exact same playbook. If it's wrong when Trump does it, it's wrong when Jasmine Crockett does it. And somebody has to be the person who's going to stand up and adhere to a standard and comport themselves with the professionalism and the dignity that once was associated with Washington, D.C. I'm going to end it right there. Look, drop me a comment. Am I wrong? Is Jasmine Crockett is she well within her rights to behave this way because Donald Trump behaved this way? Or should all of us try to become the best version, the most noble version of ourselves, and not use one person, in this particular case Donald Trump, as the excuse to become pedestrian and lowbrow? I'd love to hear your comments. Thanks for hanging out. I'll catch you in the next one.